Hey, help support the show by becoming a member on Patreon or YouTube. This is the best way to help me as a creator, and so thank you and go Cavs. The NBA really can't go a single day without being the most overdramatic league in all of sports. Not only are we getting Game 7 of the NBA Finals in just a few hours, but we also get this blockbuster trade featuring Kevin Durant. So I wanted to talk about it. Listen, NBA fans, we're spoiled. We're so spoiled. We have it better than any league. There's always something crazy going on. Now, we've known this Kevin Durant deal was, reportedly in the works for quite a while. We already knew that Houston was one of the front runners, probably the most likely team to win the Durant sweepstakes this time around. But the exact deal and what it would take to get Kevin Durant, what would be left of the Houston Rockets, was the biggest question remaining. And now we know the answer to that. But to back up a little bit before we talk about the actual deal, my take on this, Kevin Durant's trade saga, right, building up to this, is that wherever Durant goes or wherever he ended up, I assumed that it probably wouldn't shake up the NBA landscape too much because all things considered, how much the team would have to give up to acquire him. The fact that we're in a league of parity and depth has become so important. You trade a bunch of assets for, admittedly, someone who, he's going to be 37. Listen, KD fans, don't attack me. He's still a great player. He's incredible. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be 37 in September. It just didn't seem like it would be a game-breaking move for me. It felt like, it wouldn't really change the NBA landscape all that much. And I still stand by that opinion, but I will say, this was a better move from Houston than I really anticipated. Only giving up Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks, who we'll talk about that in a second, but only giving up those two players and then holding on to basically all of your draft picks that matter. This was a great move from the Rockets, in my opinion. They gave up the 10th pick in this year's draft, which is a little tough, but then they only gave up 5 second round picks, which second round picks are pretty much pennies in this league. Those really don't matter that much. The Rockets still have 2 first round picks in the 2027 draft, including the Phoenix Suns pick. They have first round picks in 2028, 2029, 2030, and 2031. So they're still loaded with a stockpile of assets that they can use either to maybe they make another move of some sort, or they'll continue adding young talent through the draft because, some of these picks aren't even their own. Again, there's a Phoenix one and a Dallas one, I believe. So essentially in this deal, the Rockets kind of made like an all-in type of move without fully going all in because they still have their most important young assets in Thompson and Sengun. And even if you want to throw Jabari Smith in there as well, I know some people are kind of giving up on him, and I can't blame you, but he's still on the roster. They still have all their draft picks. Even if this doesn't work out, even if 2 years later Kevin Durant is just, out of the league or whatever, which would be, a catastrophic result. But let's say 2-3 years down the line, this isn't working. They still have all their assets. So this was a pretty good move in my opinion. They didn't go all in the way that I would have expected Phoenix would have demanded. But again, Phoenix, they were kind of, their back was against the wall. And we'll get to them later at the end of the video. But there are some negatives to this deal for Houston. But again, like I said, there's so much parity in the league right now that for a deal like this to put Houston way over the top or anything, that was never going to happen. Any team that got Kevin Durant was never going to immediately become the title favorite, but they'll definitely be a team to take seriously next season now, which I think is exciting. The Rockets, they won 52 games last year. They had the 4th best defense, which at times it felt like it was the best defense in the NBA. It was truly elite. They were truly an elite team on that end of the floor. And then they had the 12th best offensive rating according to Cleaning the Glass. I'll be honest with you, it was much worse than that number suggests. Them being 12th best in offense just doesn't seem real. It's always, you have to take advanced stats with the eye test and the full context. Anybody could tell you. If you watched any Rockets basketball, Houston really struggled to score the ball last season, especially when it mattered. The only thing that was truly holding them back, not only was it their youth and their inexperience in the playoffs, but they didn't have a go-to bucket getter. And I mean, listen, what is Kevin Durant if not a walking bucket? So this plugs up the biggest need that they had, at least partially addresses that, because the two negatives in this deal is, one, obviously, like I said, Kevin Durant, he's about to turn 37. So he's already declining as a rim attacker. He doesn't really get to the rim all that much. He's become very reliant on that mid-range pull-up jumper. He's still elite at it. He's still a nasty scorer, but the point I'm making is that your championship window here, if it really is open, it's not going to be that large. You basically get 1-2 years, at least you'd imagine that your window isn't going to be much larger than 2-3 years at most. And so the question is this version of Kevin Durant enough to lift Houston's offense to championship levels? Because they were really in the gutter. And I'm not entirely sure if just adding Kevin Durant is enough to do that. You lost a lot of ball handling with Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks gone. You have Fred VanVleet, who is also getting a little older and a little less effective off the dribble. So again, that window is very small and you didn't fully cover up all your gaps. But if you get any developmental leaps from Sengun, Thompson, anyone else on the roster, maybe you make another move on the margins, then maybe you see all this fall into place in a way that would be really scary for the rest of the league. But right now, we don't really know what the Rockets are going to look like if they're not able to polish off their roster, or if the potential that's on this team kind of plateaus next season. I still think they could really use some more ball handling and playmaking. I'm interested to see how or where they'll try to address that, but overall, I'm just excited to, hopefully, knock on wood, we'll see Kevin Durant competing for a title again. It's been weird the last few years where Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron, like that generation has just kind of felt out of the picture when it comes to the title, but maybe we'll get one more last hurrah for KD, maybe even LeBron now that he's with Luka. Steph, the Warriors situation, I don't know what to think there, but without getting too sidetracked, focusing just on this deal, I'm at least happy to think that we should get another run out of KD and hopefully some more historic basketball from him, because he's one of the best scorers in league history. He's on a team that desperately needed some scoring, and so the pairing there obviously makes sense. And again, they gave up a lot, but really I don't think they gave up too much. I think they held on to most of their stockpile, which I think is good. I don't think Jalen Green, ISOs were ever going to get them over the top. So for Houston, I would say this was a very, very good move for them. My last thoughts, to talk about Phoenix for a second. This is just all bad for Phoenix. I'm sorry. Like, not even just this deal in particular, but their situation in general is just, they've dug themselves such a deep hole with some truly drastic decision making that they've made in recent years. I mean, I don't even know where the franchise goes from here right now. It sounds like they plan on keeping Jalen Green. At least they got some draft capital back in this, but right now it's like the boat is just rapidly sinking and they're scooping like little cups of water out of the ship, and it's just not going to make a difference right now, right? Like, I'm sorry, Suns fans, but there aren't many situations in basketball that are worse than where the Suns are right now. At least, you've ripped off this Band-Aid. Now you kind of just have to grit your teeth and get through the next few years while all this sorts itself out. But right now it's not looking too good. And who knows? Maybe Jalen Green can still develop. Maybe he's, I certainly think he has the talent. It's just putting that talent in the right context and developing him. So unironically, Devin Booker is a great mentor for Jalen Green to learn from and to have next to him, because, a lot of the criticisms that we have of Jalen Green, you could have made of Devin Booker in the past too. So who knows, maybe that will be a good pairing, but all in all, good move for Houston. Phoenix, even outside of this move, is just a complete dumpster fire of a franchise right now, and I feel bad for those fans. But with all that being said, thanks for watching my video, and as always, go Cavs.